Well, it's the 1.96-mile national circuit here at Donington Park. 22 laps, 43 miles the full race distance, and we have a real humdinger in prospect as the lights go to green. And away on the right-hand side of your picture, the customary rocket start from number 2, Chris Walker, the pole position man, but it's number 4, Neil Hodgson on the Ducati, arch rival, runner-up in the championship at the moment. He's 21 points adrift, and he knows he's got to win these 2 races if he's to stand any chance. Walker equally knows that a win in this one can put it out of sight. 25 points go to the winner, and Chris Walker's definitely got his eyes on the 25 points up for grabs. Sunshine here at Donington. It's been very, very difficult in qualifying, very wet. The qualifying times were 7 seconds off the dry lap speed, but now the race conditions are well nigh perfect. In third place, number 3, John Reynolds. As they crest the rise into Coppice, Walker leads, Hodgson in second, Reynolds really, really closing hard in third. In fourth place, it's John Reynolds' teammate James Hayden, number 5. A good start too by the number 22 Kawasaki Steve Plater. He's in fifth. They don't go left, they go right here into the right-left flick. There's Paul Denning, Chris Walker's Suzuki team boss. He knows, Roger, doesn't he, just what is at stake.
He certainly does. This is the point at which I think we're going to see most of the overtaking. And as I speak, Neil Hodgson looks at the inside of Chris Walker, and yes, he's gone through. So Neil Hodgson now has gone up into the lead, into the chicane. And I was just about to say that's where we're going to see it all. On board now with Neil Hodgson, you can see Chris Walker comes into view. And that means that Chris Walker is now behind Neil Hodgson, back with the leaders, and the safety car is out. So that means that the riders have to slow down. They can't exchange positions. That is that Chris Walker has to stay behind Neil Hodgson, John Reynolds has to stay behind Walker, and James Hayden has to stay behind Reynolds. They can close up, and that's the reason the safety car is out. It's Gramini and Dave Redgate. The pace car is in, so the race is back on.
Well, interesting times that allowed everybody to close up, and you saw Chris Walker weaving left and right there to keep the heat in his tyres down towards Redgate. Hodgson leads. Chris Walker, the stalker, not giving up though. Right in the wheel tracks of the number 4 Ducati. Hodgson, Walker, Reynolds, Hayden. Mackenzie doing wonderfully well in his last 2 races now. The champion retires after Donington Park, but he's going out in style. He's in 5th place. He's gone past Steve Plater. Any chance that John Reynolds has of winning the championship lies with him winning the race. He has to get past that number 2 Suzuki. Going for the lead again, Chris Walker. Chris Walker at Redgate, back in front then. He's on a 25-point position. If he can sustain this to the flag, the championship, the year 2000 British Superbike Championship will go to number 2, Chris Walker. He's ahead of Neil Hodgson. Neil Hodgson equally knows he needs to win both races. Reynolds now is looking menacing. So is James Hayden. He's far from giving up. 4th in the championship, James Hayden. Suspect he will not be riding in the same team as John Reynolds next year. There's been a little bit of controversy between them. Unfortunately, all that cement dust you saw at the exit of Coppice is way off the racing line. Somebody either blew the bike up or came down heavily there. It could have been the Gramini Redgate incident. They're nearly 3 abreast. There's a tail ender ahead of them. Neil Hodgson is back in front again through right, left, Goddard's. The exit from Goddard's. If this had been the Grand Prix circuit, that would have been a very, very tight hairpin left-hander, but it's a right-left flick. This is now John Reynolds looking at the back end of the Suzuki of Chris Walker. John Reynolds prefers to stay a little bit wider, but he's tucking tight here. The Ducati has enormous drive, but that Suzuki is very, very quick. Second place for Chris Walker. 20 points will not be enough to put the championship out of sight. He needs the win, and that will make it impossible for Hodgson to come back. But Reynolds is up to second, pushing Chris Walker down to a 16-point place with tailenders ahead of him. Hodgson got the back end on the curb, and that was a big scare for the 26-year-old from Burnley, now resident in the Isle of Man. That would have been a big scare there. He got it on the white curb, he grabbed a handful, put the power on, and Neil Hodgson is away with less than a lap to do, in sight now of the win here in round 23 at Donington Park. Roger, what a great race he's had.
Well, this is superb stuff. This is going to actually bring the championship down to just 12 points separating Hodgson from Walker, Walker leading. But that only means that Chris Walker in the second leg today is going to need to score a minimum of a 4th place to win the championship. But this race isn't over yet, but John Reynolds is getting held up, Chris Walker's getting held up, Meanwhile, things are playing into the hands of the bike number 4 at the front, and James Hayden still down there in 4th spot.
Well, Chris Walker caught one of the back markers there. He's been put really well off the pace now. Reynolds is established beautifully in 2nd place as they come up towards the last right-hander. Hard on the brakes here, Hodgson. A right-left flick. The crowd love him for this one, and he's going to pull a wheelie over the line. Is he? No, a little bit cautious, but what a great... Oh, it is. There it is, the customary Neil Hodgson wheelie. Great result confirmed. Reynolds, Walker 3rd, Steve Plater and former champion Neil Mackenzie there in 6th place. A good round 23 for Neil Mackenzie.
Round 24, the final round of this year 2000 British Superbike Series, and very tense moments indeed. You can see the amount of people down pit lane straining over the hospitality balconies to see what is going to happen in this final showdown. And Walker's bound to get the whole shot. They come away now off the grid. And let's have a look, and it is going to be Chris Walker on bike number 2, and who does that surprise? And certainly not me, and Hodgson follows in his footsteps, almost a replica carbon copy of the earlier race this afternoon.
With one exception, up into 4th place has gone number 31, Michael Rutter, who's known as a wet weather specialist and qualified here on the front row in very, very wet qualifying conditions, but he's not usually reckoned to be a quick starter in the drive. He's made that front row position start count. He's in 4th place. Chris Walker, though, just 1 bike length away, Roger.
Well, this is on board with Neil Hodgson. Looking back, you can see Shane Byrne on bike 16, Neil Mackenzie on bike number 7, and what an emotional moment this is going to be for Neil Mackenzie, the final race of Neil Mackenzie's.
John Reynolds was champion. He's the 3rd man in your picture back in 1992, and he would love to win it again, but he cannot this time. All he can do is spoil the party for the 2 men in front of him. Hodgson in front. Chris Walker may be a bit perturbed from a personal standpoint, but from a championship standpoint, that is far from a catastrophe for the Suzuki man. Having another look at Redgate, Walker in 2nd, Hodgson leads. He knew coming here he'd have to win both races to win the title, and he's not disappointing.
Chris Walker will be very comfortable with that 2nd spot. He'll be very pleased to follow Neil Hodgson around and let Hodgson set the pace. Whatever Hodgson does, if as long as Walker's just behind him, then that's not a big problem. This is on board, and you'll see Chris Walker coming to view on the right-hand side of the screen. There he is, on bike 2, and that was the passing manoeuvre into the chicane. Hayden could get in front, or Hodgson could get in front, and Walker could be pushed back to 4th. That would be the minimum position that Chris Walker could finish in.
I was about to say, Roger, James Hayden is gathering ground, hand over fist is up. Into 2nd place now goes John Reynolds. Chris Walker down in 3rd. Still not a major problem for him, but Hayden is really closing. Look at the 4th man in your picture there, number 5, James Hayden. Chris Walker in 3rd place, a 16-point position here. He leads the championship by 12. That'll give him 28 points. Even if Hodgson wins, the victory goes to Walker by 3 points. 3rd place will do, Chris. Neil Hodgson easing away. 3 machine lengths now, the gap, and John Reynolds still there in 2nd. He's on a 20-point place. There's Les, that's Chris Hall. Anxious times for everybody here. Paul Denning on the right, the Suzuki boss. Great consternation on his face. Chris Walker, though, thinks that maybe a 2nd place is on the cards. He's having a good look at the inside of John Reynolds, and he grabs it. Through goes Chris Walker, up to 2nd, putting yet another cushion in between himself and James Hayden, who has been advancing, and really coming close. James Hayden in 4th place, number 5, on the back now of his teammate in the Team Revi Racing Ducati squad. This is the move that Walker made on Reynolds.
Well, that was down at the old hairpin. That was 90 miles an hour, and what a clean move it was. Great to see Chris riding with so much confidence in this, the last race of the championship. He doesn't need to be doing moves like that, I have to say that, because we know that 4th place is good enough, but Chris Walker, by his very nature, and look how close he's now getting to Hodgson. He's having a go, and he's through. He's now taken the lead. He wasn't content with 4th place. He wasn't content with 2nd place, so he's in the lead, and that's the way Chris Walker knows to fight and to try and win this championship.
Well, we all know it's the only way Chris Walker knows how to ride, and what a terrific campaigner he's been through the year 2K. 9 wins for Walker, 7 wins for Hodgson. That's how close they've been, and Hodgson has taken the lead again, coming up to his favourite overtaking place into the right hand. And look at Reynolds. Reynolds round the outside. Reynolds in second. Walker in the winking of an eye. Chris Walker goes from first to third, but he's making another play here again on John Reynolds, who indeed is looking to win the race. John Reynolds, number 3, is going for the lead here, and James Hayden in 4th place, number 5, is really closing on Chris Walker. Hodgson's made the break though. 11 laps completed. Neil Hodgson is now 3 bike lengths clear. This is absolutely breathless stuff. It's no less than I would have expected the way this season has shaped up.
Well, this is on board with Neil Hodgson. You can see that he came down the outside of the track as Chris Walker was trying to run a defensive line in the middle of the road. And look at Reynolds. Reynolds came right round the outside. Now it's back at the front, and a slight gap has opened up, and it's good that they're actually playing a bit of cat and mouse, and Hayden's coming up the inside of Walker, so Hayden's now through to take 3rd place. So Chris Walker in the lowest position he could possibly finishing if things stay the same. And what I was going to say was it's good that they're playing cat and mouse, because that's allowing them all to bunch up and swap places quite quickly, and Walker's swapped a place again because Walker's now back up to 3rd.
I tell you what else it's allowed. Neil Mackenzie, who's, oh, look at Hayden. Hayden at Craner Curves, back underneath Chris Walker. This is like round 1 in the championship, never mind the final race in the series. James Hayden with absolutely nothing to lose. The number 5 Ducati in 3rd place has got everything to gain. This is the time of the year when riders are talking to teams and sponsors about the next season, never mind this season. Cool it, Chris, cool it, don't throw it away. He's looking over his shoulder. Surely he's not got a mechanical problem. Maybe he's wondering where Neil Mackenzie is.
Well, I've got to say, it looks like he's got a problem, Barry. There has to be something wrong. He's not come into the picture yet. He's cruising down Craner Curves. Oh, no. This is drama indeed. He went wide into the chicane. It looked like he was making mistakes, probably through loss of concentration. But look at the team.
Well, they know there's a problem there. That's Colin Wright, impassive as usual. The Suzuki team know there is a problem with Chris, but he's still going. Lap 17, 22 laps the race distance. Oh no! The Suzuki has let go! The Suzuki has blown. Chris Walker can never bring that home. There will be an oil flag up. The team on the wall, the Suzuki team, cannot believe it. He must retire that bike, and his championship hopes, his championship dream, everything he's worked for this year, and indeed 3 years previously, have literally gone up in smoke.
That's going to be a huge disappointment for Chris Walker and his fans. Look at him there. The poor guy's in tears.
But on the final lap, number 5, James Hayden, with Neil Hodgson in 2nd place, champion designate Neil Hodgson, the number 4 Ducati, who already has his plans sewn up for next year. He is moving. There's Darrell Healy, team owner, grinning from ear to ear. He's a man who rarely shows emotion. And this is it. Just hold it all together, Neil, and bring it home. The checkered flag is in sight for Neil Hodgson, the year 2000 British Superbike champion.